Have you ever felt that, that quiet little pull to just stay inside, where everything feels simpler, safer, and totally under your control? Well, it's a feeling that's getting more and more common. Today, we're going to dive deep into the hidden systems, both inside our own brains and in the cities we live in, that are, believe it or not, actively engineering our retreat from the world. Let's start by imagining something that for a lot of people is already very, very real.
I know, it sounds like something out of a dystopian movie, but for a growing number of us, this is just life. That pass between the bed, the desk, and the front door has become this super worn-out track, while the world outside feels more and more alien. So how did we get here? To understand that, we need to look at how our society started building the perfect architecture for us to hide in.
All right, so to really get where we are now, we've got to look at how solitude used to be seen. Because there is a huge difference between choosing to be alone and feeling like you're forced into it.
I mean, think about it. Throughout history, you have people like Emily Dickinson. She chose isolation, and in that quiet, wrote almost 1,800 poems. Or Isaac Newton. He retreated during a plague and came up with calculus. For them, solitude was this chosen, almost sacred act of creation. But today, it's a completely different story. For so many, isolation isn't some enlightened choice. It's just the default setting for survival. And it doesn't lead to creation, it leads to stagnation.
This massive shift is perfectly captured by a Japanese term, hikikomori. These are folks who completely withdraw from society, sometimes for years at a time. But here's the thing, this isn't just a Japanese phenomenon. It's like a dark mirror reflecting a global trend, where all of us, in our own small ways, are building these little isolated boxes to protect ourselves from a world that just feels hostile.
So, how does the outside world even get so terrifying in the first place? Well, the answer isn't usually some big single traumatic event. Nope, it's much smaller, and it all starts right inside our own heads.
Okay, so your brain is a fantastic archivist, but honestly, it's a terrible librarian. Every single time you have a slightly awkward conversation or you deal with a rude cashier, your brain doesn't just let it go. It files that little moment away in a folder labeled evidence of danger. And over time, that file gets incredibly thick and it starts to poison your perception of the outside world, trapping you in a really powerful cycle.
And this is what creates this vicious feedback loop. As you can see here, it starts with a trigger. Say a friend invites you out. You feel that spike of anxiety, and so you decide to stay home. That's the avoidance. And what happens next? You immediately feel this wave of relief. See, your brain's fear center, the amygdala, it registers this as a win. You avoided a threat. But the problem is that temporary relief teaches your brain that avoidance is a great strategy, which makes you even more anxious the next time an invitation comes along.
And here is the truly insidious part. Your brain actually gives you a chemical prize for avoiding things. That feeling of relief comes with a little hit of dopamine, the brain's reinforcement chemical. It literally rewards you for staying inside. So slowly, your home transforms from a sanctuary into a reward chamber for isolation, basically a comfortable cage.
And get this, over time, this cycle has a physical effect on you. The part of your brain that's responsible for long-term planning, for seeing the bigger picture, your prefrontal cortex, it literally begins to weaken. The voice inside you that's arguing for a balanced life, for pushing through a little discomfort for a much greater reward, it just goes silent. The avoidance machine wins.
But look, it's not all in your head. It would be totally unfair to put all the blame on our internal psychology. The truth is, the physical world we actually live in has become actively hostile to human connection.
For centuries, communities have relied on what sociologists call third spaces. Okay, so these aren't your home, that's the first space, or your work, the second space. They're the neutral grounds, right? The parks, the libraries, the public squares, the little local cafes where spontaneous connections just happen. They are the absolute bedrock of a healthy community. And we have systematically destroyed them.
I mean, just look around. Our cities are increasingly unwalkable, forcing us into our isolating little cars. You've seen park benches with those armrests in the middle, right? That's hostile architecture, designed to stop people from lying down. It sends a clear message: don't get comfortable here. Our libraries are underfunded, and for every physical space that vanishes, a dozen digital substitutes pop up, begging us to order in, to stream movies, and just to stay put. We've literally engineered a society that accommodates our retreat.
The consequence of all this is, well, it's staggering. And we're not just talking about feeling lonely. The US Surgeon General has stated that a lack of social connection has the same negative impact on your health as smoking 15 cigarettes every single
day. Our engineered isolation is quite literally killing us.
Okay, I know this all sounds incredibly bleak, but you have to remember this absolute truth. This situation is not hopeless. You have the power to fight back. You can and should rebel against the retreat. That cage you feel trapped in, it is not your fault. It was constructed by forces way outside of your control, by hostile architecture, corporate algorithms, and your brain's own sneaky avoidance machine. But knowing how it was built, that's the first step to dismantling it. The outside world is not your enemy, and you have every right to be a part of it.
And listen, you don't need to become some social butterfly overnight. Not at all. Start ridiculously small. The next time you want to order food, maybe just walk to the restaurant instead of tapping an app. Make a point to have a genuine, small interaction with the barista or the cashier. And reclaim a public space. Go sit in a park for 10 minutes, even if the bench is uncomfortable. Just be present in the world again.
As you start doing this, you're actively rebuilding those weakened neural pathways we talked about earlier. Every time you push through a tiny social trigger, you're basically doing a rep for your prefrontal cortex. Try to replace that passive scrolling with some kind of active engagement. Join a book club, take a local class, solve a puzzle with a friend. These actions force your brain to engage, to rebuild, and to grow stronger.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What are the spaces in your own community that used to foster connection? A local cafe that closed down? A park that fell into disrepair? What's missing? Because, recognizing what we've lost is the very first step toward demanding its return and rebuilding a world that's designed not for isolation, but for us.